This is episode 40 of Parenting 2.0, The Focused Mindset. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone and you feel like they're not even listening to you? You feel like you're not even important to them. Well, I don't want you to ever fall into the trap of making someone feel that way. So that's why today we're going to talk about listening. But first, if you're a new listener to this show, thank you for joining us. We're so glad to have you. Don't forget to hit download and subscribe so you don't miss any of the family-oriented content that we put out on this show. You've been upgraded to Parenting 2.0. New expectations requires a new mindset, the focused mindset. I'm Cher Kretz. I'm a school counselor and a family mindset coach. Raising kids is an amazing journey, and things don't always turn out as planned. Still, you get to share your life with an adult in training. This podcast will help you meet every new challenge with confidence and be the best version of yourself in your home and with the people you love. Hello, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here today with me. We are going to continue our mini-series here on communication, on how to have a conversation and how to make an impact when we are talking to others. That's going to continue all the way through February. I'm going to give you guys a little preview in a minute. But today, it's all about how to listen. It's what I call listening with purpose, and I'm sure that you've heard that term before, but I always think of that all together as one word, listening with purpose, because it's easy for us to say that we are listening, but are we really? Are we listening in order for the purpose to really understand? We're going to talk about that. And I have to say that this is one of the things that I'm the most passionate about, for the simple reason that it's the thing that I need to work on the most. Let's just get frank. I work on this all the time, and I come back to it and I fine tune it again. And then I ask myself, what can I do better? What am I still lacking in? And I'm beginning to love the process, because there's nothing else that I've worked on in my life that's had such amazing results in the connections that I have with people. So it's worthwhile to really dive in and look at this subject. Now, as you know, my course, Conversations That Empower, covers all kinds of different steps and tips on how to have impactful conversations. And I am pleased to announce that it is, as a matter of fact, on my website for sale. Yay, 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 yay. But as usual, I want to give you, my podcast listener, a little extra. A little more because you do listen. And I am so grateful that you do. And I feel like, we have that special connection to where it's not just all right. I wouldn't feel right about being in a situation that I just leave you hanging and don't give you the knowledge that I know that you need and want to be able to be the communicator that you want to be. And that's why today we are taking that time to dive in. You could think of many times when listening went out the window in a conversation. Most of the time it happens when we're triggered, when we're really upset, when we're angry. All of our wonderful intentions go out the window, and all of a sudden we're ranting, or we're all of our worst traits as far as communication seems to come out when we're upset. But I want to let you know that this type of planning is the way that we can get a little more control even in those upset times. I know it's going to happen. I know that we're not going to listen to a podcast, do a course, or anything else, and then all of a sudden perfection. And we just, in every situation, we just seem to stay calm. No, now and then we're going to blow it. And please never be too hard on yourself when that happens. I've walked away from situations and just wanted to, drag my own self through the mud. And then I need to catch myself and say, no, human beings are not meant for perfection, but we can perfect what we're doing. And listening is one of those things that for me, and probably for you too, we'll always be in a situation where we're perfecting it. That is, if we care about the people that we're around and we really want to get to know them, then we're going to be fine-tuning. That's just where we're going to live many times. Listening with purpose is basically just opening our eyes, closing our mouth, and taking in all the verbal and nonverbal communication that the person we're talking to is giving back to us. It's kind of like they're giving a piece of them. Or maybe they want to be able to, but they're not really exactly sure how, and they haven't really figured out how they can talk to you. Well, like we talked about in my episode, Silence is Loud, it is so important to give space to people and allow them to think through things and allow them to speak freely. So when you put your focus on the listener and not on yourself and the next thing that you're going to say, it changes everything. It really does. Now, of course, you're going to want to think about the things that are going to pop out of your mouth, but in the moment that they're talking, avoid at all cost rehearsing and thinking about what you want to say next. That is a challenge as a parent, isn't it? Because we know the rules and the things that we have an agenda, if you will. Many times we walk into conversations with our kids with an agenda, and the moment they speak up, it's like we can finish their sentence. We know what they're going to say, and we just want to cut to the chase and tell them what they need to know. Well, there's something that happens if we do that, and the child feels like they're not validated in any way, shape, or form. And worse yet, they feel like you think you're more important than they are. It's already the case that you're their parent and you have a certain authority over them. So there's automatically a role that they have respect and that kind of thing. Hopefully they're showing the proper respect. Sometimes kids get mixed up in that area, but that's another podcast. But there's already a natural role that you're the parent. We don't need to make that even a bigger target by talking over them and talking at them. So when we go in with the ability to say, you know what? If my child is saying something, I'm going to hear them out. It is humbling, yes, but it's also important. It's important because when we hear them, we're going to hear a different side, and it could completely change the direction of where you head of how you say the next things. You might think you know, but you might have no idea. They might bring you brand new insight. And if they do say the exact words, word for word that you expected, well, then it will give you time to really process. Take the time that we need, like we just talked about, to answer in a way that we want to without reacting harshly or inappropriately in any way. Now, lots of times when we have a conversation that is powerful, we're not in a good headspace. And to me, the first thing that needs to happen is we quickly need to check our vibe. It doesn't need to take very long. Doing something like that really only takes a minute. Remember, V stands for values, I stands for be interested, B stands for be bold, and E stands for enjoy. That only has to take a minute for you to check your vibe, and it can make a big difference in your listening. What are you going to value? You want to be present in the conversation. You want to be listening. You want to be help them know that you really care. Those would be your values. I committed to interest in what they're saying. Interest in the type of person that they are and how they think, how they feel. B is be ready to be bold. You're not just going to shy away from things that need to be said. And E is to enjoy that moment. Oh, it's priceless, you guys. Whether it's with a child or it doesn't matter if it's with your sister, your brother, these conversations can be priceless. It just takes one moment in a conversation and the two of you guys are syncing and talking, and it can change everything. It can change your complete view on something or their view. And no matter how that conversation is going, it's a moment you'll never get back. So enjoy it. But as a person walks in even, I know that my daughter walked in And for some reason, I just knew that there was a conversation that was going to go down that was going to get serious. I just felt like she had a lot on her heart. And as she walked into my room, I was sitting on a chair. She walked in the door. From the time she walked in the door to walking over to the chair that I was at, I had already checked my vibe. I was already prepared. And that conversation went so much smoother because I did that quick vibe check. So in order to be the listener that we want to be, let's be willing to do that quick check before they even open their mouth or right as they are. Don't forget to get prepared. Don't forget to have that right mindset. And then sometimes the next thing that becomes really hard is, what do we say? I mean, what do we say when, we want to be able to get more out of them? Well, I'm going to share with you some questions because listening, a big part of listening is being able to ask the kind of questions that will bring that person out and be able them to talk about the things that actually matter. So I suggest that people ask, what's on your mind? I know what's on your mind is a lot different than even what are you thinking. It's just because someone really has to think what's on their mind. It needs to replace what do you want to talk about or what do you need? What's on your mind? Now, there's some kids that still, or adults that you talk to, it doesn't matter who, that still, they're going to say stuff that's on your mind, but it really has nothing to do with what really needs to be talked about. Well, there's a question that I use, and it is just so helpful, and it just brings us to the heart of the issue. And that is, what is the real challenge for you? In some shape or form, I ask them, what's the real challenge for you? And once I say that clarifying question, it usually there's like this pause. You're going to have to try this out. And usually I get a pause and they think and they're like, wow, what is a challenge for me? These type of questions help so much with your listening because then you're listening to what they really need to be telling you. Because you won't be listening to 15 minutes of them talking and they're not even actually telling you the real problem. And then you're going to answer back in a way that's not helpful. So those two clarifying questions can really help you out, guys. There's also a lot of power in asking what else. I always say at least once, what else? And I can't believe when I'm talking to clients in coaching, this is a huge strategy with coaching, is in fact, if you ever have a personal coach, definitely if you coach with me, you'll catch me. I'll tell what else? I'll ask what else? But the reason why is because I do want to know what else. And you should want to know what else when you're talking to someone. Because we all have layers. There's something that we want to say, and then there's something else that we also want to say, and we just stopped short. So use the power of that question. And there's also a really great newer strategy I've been putting in place recently. And I had to put it in my course because it is quite magical. I got it from a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It is a great read. If you guys want a really great book, it does lean a lot on kind of the skills of convincing people, if you will. But you can pull so much out of his book on basic communication. And something I learned from that book is the power of repeating back the last few words that somebody says. Now, in Chris Voss's book, he talks about how powerful it is and how it works on almost anybody. And I agree. I mean, it works on me. I know that if someone's talking to me and they kind of repeat the last few words, it does the same trick that I'm teaching you. It makes me stop and think, oh yeah, well, I have more to say on that subject. And then I'll keep talking. You see, if someone says, I've really been struggling and I just don't know what to do. And you say, you don't know what to do. Not in a question like you don't know what to do. Just say it as a statement. It's like it triggers their mind, and their mind kind of gets back on track and says, wait, there's more. Okay, I have permission now. I'm going to keep talking. And they keep on. Yeah, I don't know what to do because the last time I tried this, it didn't work. And what if that happens again? You get the picture. So this is so great. And thank you, Chris Voss, for letting me in on this little secret. Try it out, guys. Try it out on just about anybody. I was telling my husband about this, and he's all, I don't believe you, really. If you repeat, they'll keep talking. And I told him, just try it. You'll see. And it works. So you just repeat the last few words that somebody says, and then pause and wait. And let them think, and then let them talk. Each and every one of these first strategies I told you are really going to help you with your listening, guys. It will really bump up your ability to understand the person, and that's really what it's all about. Now, you'll want to continue after that to ask some more pointed questions to really help them, but just start here. Start here with just reframing and focusing a conversation. I think we all need to give a little grace to people too when we're talking to them or when they're in a situation where they're talking about something uncomfortable. It doesn't always come easy. It's not something that's just going to flow always. Even with the people that we're closest to, they have barriers up on certain subjects. And if we really want to go deep with people, it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of grace to be able to understand that, are they in a frame of mind that they can really share? And if they are, how can I be patient enough to help them open up in this area? In fact, just before I was recording this, I had an experience that really put this in perspective for me. Because I usually am in a situation where I'm pretty comfortable with the conversations, but there are a few times here and there where I'll just get flustered. I don't know how to explain it. I'll get kind of like off my game. And what's the first thing I do? For me, it's ramble, because I'll be like, oh, I'm off my game. I don't really know what to say. And then I start rambling or saying things I didn't expect to say. Well, that happened recently. Today, actually, I was on Clubhouse room. I don't know if you guys know about Clubhouse, but it's a great area to be able to discuss almost any topic with people who are there to help you, and people are there to help each other. And what happens is they have a group of professionals in the area they are talking about, and then you can go ask them questions. The main speaker in this particular room was Haley Hobson, and I don't know if any of you are familiar with her, but she is a woman's coach, mindset coach. She's in the business of also essential oils and that kind of thing, but she's really killing it in her online game, and that's kind of the thing that I'm learning and building up. I mean, you guys know, I've told you from the very beginning, yeah, I have a ton of experience in counseling and coaching and working with kids and families. The other side, when I first started this podcast, I didn't even really have a usable Facebook, to be honest. And now I have a great little parent group right now. I think we're up to, at this very moment, coming up on 100 people in it. And it's so super, but it's new. It's a new place. So I got up on stage to talk. And here I am being asked questions by Haley Hobson, and I didn't really think that it was going to be a problem because I'm usually not a nervous person, but I started rambling. And she was so gracious in how she brought me back on track. She was the leader of that room, and there were lots of people there, but she was able to say, what is the actual question that you have? And she was able to focus my attention, and I appreciate it so much. There's sort of an art to that, guys. It's so easy to make someone feel bad, and they might already be feeling quite intimidated. They might be feeling embarrassed by the fact. I know I did. I kind of had that embarrassing feeling like, oh man, I've been a moderator in rooms, and I know what it's like when someone rambles, and here I am rambling. And you have to be really compassionate and caring about the other side. And that's kind of what it made me right before I did this podcast. I said, I know how that feels. I know how it feels to be asked a question. You kind of aren't sure how to answer like you thought you were, but then you say something that you didn't know that you were going to say. And before you know it, you're way off track. Yeah, I was there. I was right there in the thick of it. And I was glad that Haley brought me back, and it ended up being a very fruitful conversation. But how did I feel in that moment? I want to get in touch with that. Why? Because I want to know how other people feel when they're talking to me. If I start asking them hard questions, they might feel that very same way. And when I thought about it, when I got off that call and or that room and I reflected, I thought, I felt that way in other situations. And I started pinpointing what that was. Sometimes if I'm talking to someone one-on-one that I care about, I have a lot of respect for, if they start asking me questions, I'll get flustered because something inside of me will be like, oh, I have to have an answer. What am I going to answer? And that's when ramble comes out. And yeah, it can get annoying, I'm sure. When you have a relationship with someone and you care about them, be patient and understand that that's where they're at. They don't mean to do that. They're not purposely trying to be off track. They're not purposely trying to railroad the conversation or waste all of your time. No. But they might need a little bit of help with their focus, a little bit of help so they can say the things that they actually want to say. So saying what's on your mind, or saying what's the actual challenge for you, or what is it that would be most helpful, or just repeating a little bit of what they say. That is just a gentle way to help people communicate with you, and they'll appreciate that. I know if you're really close to the person, you might be tempted to be a lot more blunt than that, as I have before, and just say, can you get to the point? All right, talk. Avoid that. Avoid that, because if you want to make an impact on your conversations, then you need to be patient. Now, when you're talking to a real young child, they'll have sometimes a lot to say, especially if they're comfortable with you, and they're just babbling and babbling. I was out at the park a couple days ago, the park that's right here in our community, and a mother came by with her little daughter who's 2, and she was babbling away, and you could only understand like every third or fourth word. And it was the most adorable thing I have ever seen. And I said, oh, she has a lot to say. And the mom said, all day, every day. I was worried at one point that she wouldn't talk, and now she babbles like this all the time. And we laughed. But, that's the way it can feel sometimes, even when someone that is fully speaking and is much older, it's like they just keep going and going. So have some patience. And I'm sure that mother, we were talking too about how quarantine and how she's been in with the little one and how it could just be so much to listen to her all the time. I totally feel you. That time slips away so fast though, parents. So if you have a child in your life that's little and babbling, oh my gosh, not only take it in, but videotape it, keep it with you. Those are just really special moments. Anyway, so think about the times when you felt uncomfortable when you're communicating, or felt a little out of sorts, or you weren't sure what to say. And then put yourself in the other person's shoes if they're doing that same thing. And that'll help a whole lot with your compassion and listening. So there is so much that we could talk about. I mean, we could go in a lot of different directions with listening, but this is the stuff that I had on my mind right now. So this is the stuff you're getting. Whatever is helpful to you, I would love to hear about it. Feel free to hop over to my website, thefocusedmindset.com. Go to the place where it says connect with me and contact, and you can leave me a voice message. You can also leave me an email. That would be amazing. I want to tell you a little bit about what's coming up in the next few weeks here. I'm actually going to have 2 podcasts go out each week in February so we can get all of this out. And also just to kind of celebrate the launch of my course. I mean, it's a small mini course, but it teaches you what you need to learn. So this mini course is small but mighty, I'll tell you that. And it's about an hour's worth of teaching. About half of that is video and half of that is audio. 20 pages. There's a bunch of downloads for you, some workable pages, and it includes my 30-day journal. My Conversations That Empower journal. And that journal is going to be invaluable to you. You know how highly I look at journaling, how important I think it is for anybody at any age. It helps cement in what you need to know. It helps you remember. Just writing things down has been proven that you're 25% more likely to do whatever you write down. There's power in it. So I include a complete download of my journal. So I cannot wait for you guys to check that out. And that is at thefocusedmindset.com/empowered. In a couple of days, we're going to have Farah Churchill join us. And she's going to talk to us about communication at all these different ages. Her kids are from her oldest is 16 and her youngest isn't even, I think they just turned 1. So she has all different ages. And we're going to talk to her about communication and some of her passions. And then next week on Tuesday, we're going to talk about validation and the importance of that. And we're going to continue with how to focus a conversation. And then Thursday, we're really going to dive into some different concepts around and maybe elaborating a little further than what my course has time to on how to give help and how to really be helpful. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to welcome Curtis Webster Jr. to my show. And he's going to talk to us about communication from a dad's perspective and from a husband's perspective. He leads a guys group of a few thousand guys, and they talk about fatherhood and business and marriage and being an example. And he is such an encouraging individual. You're going to love that episode. So until then, I want you guys to really think about your listening. As far as a solution-focused exercise, it's all going to be about having your eyes wide open and your mouth shut. What I want you to do is spend a whole day saying, I'm going to listen to all of the sounds around me, the conversations, and take them in, not in a judgmental way, in an interested way, and really be interested. And then in the conversations that you have that day, I want you to practice the tip that I got from Chris Voss. Repeat the last few words that they say and then wait. And you're going to see how it helps people open up more. Have fun. I mean, like I had said in part of checking your vibes, enjoy this, guys. Enjoy fine-tuning your listening skills. Look at it as something that's going to help you in your entire life, because it will. Now, this all seems super simple, but it's not easy. It is definitely not easy, especially if you're breaking habits that you've had for a very long time. I think I may have told you before, my family is, we're just loud. We're just straight and to the point and loud. And when my brothers and sisters and I get together, we talk, and we tend to just talk over each other and interrupt. But to all of us, it's fine because we're in the moment. But it caused a lot of bad habits. And we all have talked about how all of us have had to break the habit of interrupting. I have worked on that habit so much, you guys, and I still fall into it. Interrupting is just one of those things that really, if you look at it, rather than saying, I'm going to stop interrupting, just change your wording around and say, I'm going to start listening. If you say to yourself, oh, I've got to stop interrupting so much, well, the thing that your mind remembers is the interrupting part, and it doesn't have anything else to cling to, is what I've noticed. It doesn't have anything else to wrap its mind around to do instead. So if you're like me and you've been working on that, change it to, I am going to be a listener. I am going to listen. I'm going to listen so great that you don't have any time for interrupting because you're too busy listening. And just look at listening as a skill that needs to be learned, practiced, nurtured. And I know you're going to do such a great job. Just by listening to this podcast, it shows how much you care about your family and the impact that you have in it. You have the greatest impact on your family and the people around you. And listening and asking important questions is going to be a big part of your bonding with their family. If you know of anyone who might enjoy content or enjoy this particular episode on listening, feel free to shoot it out to them. You can share this episode in lots of different ways. All platforms have a share button, and they make it really simple to push share, choose what you want to do, and shoot it out in an email, social media, whatever it might be. That's a great way for us to spread and for us to be helpful. Listening is so important. People are worried right now. They're concerned, they're heavy, they're burdened, and they need a listening ear like yours. So I give you full permission to share this episode. And don't forget to check out the show notes because I always put lots of helpful links just for you guys. Remember, you're never alone with the Focused Mindset. And I'd love for you to join the Focused Mindset community by going on my website at thefocusedmindset.com/join community. So until next time, guys, keep in touch and take care.